Return of the Living Dead Part 2 is finally making its way to special edition Blu-ray this month from the fine folks at Scream Factory. Released in 1988, the film was initially panned by critics and horror fans alike. Did it deserve this treatment, or does the film warrant a second look? Let's find out! So I can't remember the first time I saw this movie. It's strange because I usually remember these things. Must be that brain tumor acting up again. But I do remember reading about it in Fangoria magazine before it came out, and being totally enamored by the pictures and ads for these really cool shirts. I actually had the poster hanging on my bedroom wall as a kid, among others. I want to say my mom bought it for me from the Goodwill. It was definitely a thrift store because the poster was a little banged up. There's a few different versions floating around out there, but the one I have has a tagline that states, "If a Nightmare on Elm Street made you scream, and Creepshow split your sides, then Return of the Living Dead Part 2 will scare your brains out." The movie opens with a military convoy transporting the dangerous and deadly zombie canisters from the first film. The driver of the last truck decides that it's a good time to listen to some tunes and smoke some weed. Let this be a lesson to you kids. If you do drugs, it could quite possibly lead to the zombie apocalypse. Dare to keep kids off drugs. Seriously, don't do drugs. So we are then introduced to the lead, a kid named Jesse. I know what you're thinking, an annoying kid, but he's actually not bad. He's well played by Michael Kenworthy and is likable enough. In fact, the movie is filled with a likable cast of characters. Jesse's overbearing sister Lucy.
First one says homework, and you don't go out until you finish it. Now get going.
The cable repair guy Tom.
Student council, swim team. Almost.
No.
Grave robbers Joey and Ed.
Oh! You're supposed to be dead!
Joey's girlfriend Brenda.
Joey, I am not! You the dead guys!
And Doc Mandel.
There seem to be hooligans terrorizing the neighborhood.
Tom Matthews and James Karen actually appeared in the first film together, but as different characters that died. It is a little weird, but it's fine. They were great in the first movie and are great in the sequel. So Jesse is being terrorized by a couple of bullies who are very annoying. They stumble across the missing canister.
Hey, check this out.
I don't think you should play around with that.
Shut up, Whip.
The idiot kids lock Jesse up and open the tank, which of course leads to the inevitable zombie apocalypse. The characters are eventually thrust together and must survive against the bumbling zombies. The first, Return of the Living Dead, was a perfect blend of horror and comedy. The movie had some genuinely scary scenes mixed in with hilarious ones, but the humor came about naturally from the crazy situations. It's a nearly flawless horror film from writer-director Dan O'Bannon, who sadly passed away in 2009. Rest in peace. This sequel, written and directed by Ken Wiederhorn, amps up the comedy and tones down the suspense. A lot of the cast and crew interviewed for this Blu-ray say that they wish the movie had toned down the humor just a bit, and I do agree with this assessment. I think if the director had pulled back just a bit on the humor, it would have made for a stronger film, but it all still works pretty well and has a lot of funny scenes. None of the Return of the Living Dead sequels are on the same level as the first movie, but this is easily the best of the sequels. Actually, can we just pretend parts 4 and 5 never happened? Ugh. But this sequel is a lot of fun. I loved it as a kid, and I love it now. It moves along at a lightning pace, and as I said, the characters are great.
Is it cancer?
If we're lucky.
In the first film, the characters never did figure out a way to take out the zombies. Destroying the brain didn't work, and burning them only released more toxic zombie gas into the air. In this one, it's discovered that electricity will finally kill them. I actually kind of like the idea of these zombies being unstoppable. It added more tension and suspense to the first film, but it pays off well in this movie, especially during this reference to Michael Jackson's Thriller. The makeup effects by Kenny Myers, who also worked on the first movie, are excellent. Take this scene, for example, where a zombie is blown in half. I don't want to turn this into a rant, but if this scene had been done today, it would have been a combination of practical and computer-generated effects. But back then, they had to do all of this stuff practical, and it holds up so much better. The original DVD release of this movie had a weird flaw where they accidentally put the original, rejected musical score in there. I've also heard that they didn't have the rights to use the music, which is weird to me. In any event, the score was really awful and just distractingly bad. Case in point. The new Blu-ray thankfully restores the proper score by J. Peter Robinson. The picture quality is also excellent, with Scream Factory providing a brand new 2K scan of the film. The movie is actually very well directed by Ken Wiederhorn, and this Blu-ray really shows off his work. There are a ton of special features, interviews, commentary tracks, trailers, all kinds of stuff. It's an excellent package that gives you pretty much everything you ever wanted to know about Return of the Living Dead Part 2. It's interesting that the director apparently wasn't a fan of horror movies. He actually did some good horror stuff before this, including Shockwaves about Nazi zombies, the early 80s slasher Eyes of a Stranger, and one of my favorite episodes of the Freddy's Nightmares TV series called Freddy's Tricks and Treats.
Trick or treat! How's that for a facelift?
Like all collector's edition titles, the Scream Factory Blu-ray includes a slipcover with new cover art. One of the reasons I like to get these things with the slipcovers is so I can display the original art on the Blu-ray case and the new art with the slipcover. In recent years, this movie has been getting a second look from horror fans and audiences alike. I'm glad this film is finally starting to get more respect. It doesn't deserve the hate that has been heaped on it over the years. If you don't go in comparing it too much to the first movie, you'll definitely have a good time. And if you haven't seen the first movie or this one yet, what are you waiting for? Check them both out for some good old-fashioned zombie fun.